Okay, good morning everyone. On behalf of Professor Deb Hodgson, our Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, I'd like to welcome you all here today for the Fulbright Scholarship Information Session. I am Casey Wilson and I'm the Executive Assistant in the Pro-Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation Office. So as we begin, we acknowledge and respect the Pambalong clan of the Awabakal people, traditional custodians of the land in which this campus of the University of Newcastle is situated, and also acknowledge and pay respect to the other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations from which our students and community are drawn. I'd like to introduce our three speakers today. We have Miss Tara Hawley, the Fulbright Scholarships Officer, who will give you an introduction to Fulbright. Following Tara, we have Associate Professor Peter Stanwell. He's a UON 2016 Fulbright Scholar, and he will talk to you about his Fulbright application and interview experience, along with his top tips for applying for a scholarship. And then we have Miss Sally Whittaker, Executive Officer for the Pro-Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation. And Sally will talk about the support available through Research Advantage Program for the Australian applicants, and also the support available for the two UON-sponsored US Fulbright scholarships. There will be opportunity for question and answer at the end of the presentation. And without any further ado, I'll now hand over to Tara Hawley to tell us more about Fulbright.
Thank you so much to Casey and to Sally, and of course to Deb Hodgson. The commitment that the University of Newcastle has shown to the Fulbright program over the last couple of years has been a benchmark that we have paraded across Australia to all of the other institutions on how best to support their staff and students in applying for these types of opportunities. So thank you so much for your support and of course for having me here today. So my name, of course, is Tara Hawley. So I'm one of the scholarships officers at the Fulbright Commission, and we're based in Canberra. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of all the different types of opportunities that we have available, what the inclusions of those scholarships are, the application process, and just a bit of an overview. And then, of course, hand over to Peter, who can give you a real experience about what it's like to actually go through this experience. We didn't have a Fulbright scholar from the University of Newcastle from 2003 was our last one up until last year. And that's ever since the university had a real commitment to seeing Fulbright opportunities become available to their staff and students. And for us to see two successful applicants come from the University of Newcastle is tremendous. And we also had 3 successful American applicants who will be here on campus next year. So to have 5 from one round is extraordinary. So it's a great time at the University of Newcastle to apply, and the support that the University of Newcastle provides alongside with the extra things I'll talk you through today is a great opportunity. So I'm not sure if you know too much about the Fulbright Commission, but Fulbright was founded after the Second World War. And the idea from Senator Fulbright was that if we understand each other a little bit better and we spend time with each other in each other's countries, there's not so much of a need for conflict. So through mutual understanding and cross-cultural experience, there's less need for conflict. And I'm sure we could all agree that there's no better time than now for us to have some mutual understanding and some cross-cultural experiences to better understand each other. So the Fulbright Commission promotes educational and cultural exchange between Australia and the US in order to enhance mutual understanding and strengthen relations between the two countries. So Fulbright started in the US and there are Fulbright offices now in 160 different countries who send scholars and students from their countries to the US and then receive American students and scholars into their countries. So as I said, it was established by Senator Fulbright in 1946 after the Second World War, and the Australian Commission was actually the first treaty between Australia and the US, so it was even before the ANZUS Treaty the treaty between Australia and the US was signed. We've grown to become the largest educational scholarship program in the world. To date, we've had 360,000 Fulbrighters across the world, and our Australian office is very proud that 5,000 have come from our particular commission. I'm going to talk you through the Fulbright Values, which Peter will elaborate on as well, but these are a little cheat sheet in what Fulbright's looking for their scholars, so the types of things that we're looking for in applications. So we're looking for people who show a passion, of course, for their field of work and their study. They have a vision for themselves and for their communities. They can show demonstrated excellence through their personal and professional achievements. They can show innovation through creative, inspired thinking. Partnerships, so they can show the importance or a history of collaborations and linkages. And ambassadorial skills, so people that are articulate and show community involvement. Now, we send about 30 Australians each year to the US, and from this year we're now receiving about 24 Americans. Each of the different scholarships have different benefit inclusions, but they're all designed essentially to cover any of your living costs while you're in the US. So all of the scholarships include a monthly stipend, so this is just paid into your account to cover things like rent and food and travel, and you can use that however you like. All of the scholarships include an international travel allowance, so we cover the cost of your flights to and from the US. Some scholarships include an establishment allowance, which is really just a sum of money that we provide to you right before you arrive, and it's designed to cover things like a bond, you know, those initial costs when you first land in country and you need to get set up. A lot of the scholarships include a dependence allowance, so that's a one-off, one-time payment to try and offset some of the costs of bringing your family with you as well. You get ASPE health insurance, so it's accident and health coverage that's included as part of your package. You have access to established professional networks. I mentioned that there are 5,000 alumni from the Australian office alone, and of course alumni from all over the world. So what we do is we'll say you're going to New York, we'll put you in touch with all alumni, Australian alumni who went to New York, and also Americans that are based there, and then you can ask them all the different sorts of questions that would be appropriate, like where would you suggest I live, what schools did you send your kids to, just the types of things that would help hearing from someone who's been through the process before. We also run an orientation program. So if, say for example, you applied in this current round, so applications are open now and they close on the 1st of August, you would find out if you were successful or not in December, and then March the following year we run an orientation program in March. So by that time all the Americans have landed in country, so there's about 50 odd scholars that we bring together in Canberra. You can hear about the program and ask all your questions and go through any of the paperwork we need. But also the best part, of course, is you get to know the other 49 odd scholars who are in the same position as you and see what linkages you can create from there. There are also enrichment opportunities available in the US, so you can land in the US. There's a few different opportunities they provide to get together with people and while in country to hear about some of the additional opportunities that could be available to you. And we at the Commission provide extensive support. So we kind of, we handhold you essentially through the process. So everything from, you know, we sponsor your visa and we walk you through that visa process, all the paperwork that you need to get in country, making sure you have good connections where you're going. So we really walk you through the process and then provide as much pastoral care as you might need while in country to make sure that, you know, you're getting everything that you need and you have all the support that you need as well. So as I said, we have about 30 different opportunities that are available each year. So this page is really just to get a bit of a sense for you so you can see where, which type of opportunity might suit you best. So we have postgraduate opportunities that are available, and these kind of fall into two categories. So you might be a PhD student who wants to spend time in the US undertaking a period of research, or you might be a postgrad who wants to undertake a master's. You can go for a full master's program, or you could just go for the period of time, which is between 3 and 10 months. But Fulbright funds for a maximum of 10 months for postgraduate students. So if you're either a PhD student or looking to do a master's, you could apply in the postgraduate category. We also have postdoctoral scholarships. So we have a few different opportunities available there, and that's to undertake postdoctoral research in the US, and that's for those who've completed a PhD within the last 3 to 5 years. If you're looking to go for that opportunity, you can go for 3 to 10 months. We also have professional opportunities available. So this is for mid-career candidates in the private or public sector who, you could be an academic as well, but it's really for people who have industry links. You can go for research or to spend time at a particular company or organisation or to do a short course, and you could go for 3 to 4 months. We also have senior scholarships available. So these are for people who are at the level of associate or full professor, who would like to spend up to 3 to 4 months working on research or a project in the US. Now, the last opportunity we have is a distinguished chair, which is for people who are at the level of full professor, and this is for those who are in agricultural life sciences. So you could go for up to 6 months, but your institute would be Kansas State University. But to give you a little bit more detail on each of these, something I will tell you with the Fulbright application, and later on I'll show you the website just so you can see where the different resources are. But the great thing about it is if I applied in the postgraduate category, but I wanted to be considered for more than one opportunity, you don't need to fill out multiple applications for various opportunities. So say, for example, we have a general pool, which is 5 postgraduate scholarships that are open, and that means they're open to any field or any discipline. But we also have a range of sponsored ones. So on one application, you would elect to be considered in the general category, but then if you're eligible for any of the other sponsored awards, you could just indicate that on the application and be considered for up to 4 opportunities within one application, which is just a lot nicer than having to apply 4 different times. So as I said, the general pool is open and there are 5 available each year to people in any field or discipline. We also have state-based opportunities. So that means that for anyone that is working/studying and residing in New South Wales, you can elect to be considered for the state-based award. It's open to any category as well, but it limits the pool so that you're only up against other applicants that are from New South Wales as well. So I would definitely recommend applying both in the general pool and electing to be considered for this additional opportunity. The more hats that you can throw in the ring, the better the chance, of course. So for this award, you'll see when you have a look at how to apply, it'll just ask that you submit a little additional document that talks about how your project will benefit the state. So you might say your plans after completing your Fulbright are to come back to New South Wales and continue teaching or studying or continuing your project. But that's all you need to be considered for both the general pool and the state-based opportunity as well. We also have 2 Indigenous scholarships available. Now, these are for postgrads, but they're also open to postdocs, professionals, and seniors. So anyone who applies for those awards, if they identify as Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander, can apply for one of those awards as well. The last one I'll mention is the Anne Wexler Scholarship in Public Policy. Now, this is the only full master's program that we support. So with the postgraduate one, something to keep in mind is the scholarship doesn't cover tuition, if that's relevant. So if you're looking to undertake coursework, there are a few different ways to look at covering tuition, which I can help you with. But things like there are fee waivers and additional minor scholarships available, and there are a couple of things that you can do. But for the Anne Wexler, it also covers tuition as well. So the Anne Wexler is a 2-year master's program in an area of public policy, and some of the different areas of public policy are just up on the slide as well. So if that's your area and you're interested in undertaking a full master's program, you can definitely elect to apply for the Anne Wexler in addition to these other opportunities as well. The next category is our postdoctoral scholarships. Now, in the general pool for this, we have 2 scholarships available, again in any field or discipline, so you could head off for up to 3 to 10 months. As a postdoc, you can also be considered for the New South Wales Scholarship and the Indigenous Scholarship, but we also have a few additional opportunities in this category. The first one is the Fulbright Postdoctoral Scholarship in Cultural Competence. So this has been sponsored by the National Centre for Cultural Competence at the University of Sydney. So if that's your area, and definitely look at the website to read the little description of cultural competence to see if your research fits into that category. Definitely have a look at that one as well. We also have the Fulbright Postdoctoral Scholarship Vice Chancellor's Fellowship, sponsored by RMIT. Now, this one's quite interesting because whilst you might spend 3 to 10 months in the US, it's actually part of a 3-year fellowship at RMIT. So at the conclusion of your time in the US, you would be employed by RMIT as a postdoctoral fellow. So that one's an amazing opportunity. So definitely have a look. It does mean relocating to Melbourne. So if that's something that you would consider and you'd like to be considered for that opportunity, certainly have a look at that one as well. The last one is our newest Fulbright opportunity, and that is a postdoctoral scholarship sponsored by Monash. So that one's open to people in any field or discipline. So if you're applying in the general category, I'd certainly elect to also be considered for the one at Monash. There's no, when you finish your scholarship, you don't need to spend any time at Monash afterwards. They're just funding the opportunity for you to go and complete your research there. So certainly have a look at that one as well. The next category are our professional scholarships. So again, this is for mid-career academics or just strictly professionals with industry or professional links. We have 2 available in the general category, and you can go for 3 to 4 months. So alongside the 2 in the general pool, of course, you can apply for the Indigenous Scholarship as well, but we have a few extra opportunities available if you're interested as well. So the Fulbright Professional Scholarship in Non-Profit Leadership, sponsored by Origin and the Australian Scholarships Foundation, is really for people who are looking to spend time at a non-for-profit or an NGO in the US. So if your area is development or you work for an NGO, this is certainly a great opportunity if you want to spend an amount of time with a relevant institution in the US. We also have the Fulbright Professional Scholarship in Vocational Education and Training, as well as one in Australia-US Alliance Studies. Now, those, of course, are specific to those particular areas of research, so if that's your area, definitely have a look and elect to be considered for those as well. And the last one is the Coral Sea Scholarship. A lot of people think that you need to be a marine biologist or something to be considered for the Coral Sea, but this scholarship was set up to commemorate the Battle of the Coral Sea, and you can be in any area of research, any discipline. So if you like, you could be considered for up to 6 or 7 opportunities just in the one application if your area of research is relevant to that particular opportunity. The last categories are the Senior Scholarships and the Distinguished Chair. So in the general pool, we offer 3 general scholarships that are open to any field or discipline, and you can go for 3 to 4 months. Now, the Senior Scholarships are open to those who are associate or full professor. So alongside the 3 in the general pool, of course, you can apply for the Indigenous Scholarships, and there's also one that's sponsored by Kansas State University. So this one just means that if you are hoping to go to the US, your host institute would be Kansas State University. This one's open to any field or discipline, and it's the longer one, so you could go for up to 6 months. Any of the other ones are 3 to 4, but this one has an extended period of time. Kansas State also sponsor our Distinguished Chair in Agriculture and Life Sciences, so if you're a full professor and you're interested in going for up to 6 months, and you're in the area of agriculture and life sciences, certainly look at this opportunity. The difference with the Distinguished Chair is it also includes a public lecture tour, so it includes additional funding so that you can go to different parts of the US and give public lectures and attend conferences and do extra things. With all the other scholarships, you can certainly do that. You're not locked into one institution in one city, but just with this opportunity, there's additional funding available to help cover those costs. I'll talk a little bit about the selection and eligibility criteria. Of course, in your application, you'll show your academic and your professional experience. So the application will ask, if you're a student, it'll ask you to submit transcripts and talk about your work history, and you can attach a CV as well. We're looking for, well, there's a little joke that, well, it's not a hilarious joke, but we always say in our office that Fulbright is a little bit selfish, so we don't just want people who have academic or professional excellence, but we want so much more. We're looking for people with the whole package. I told you it wasn't very funny because no one laughed, but we're looking for people with ambassadorial skills as well. So obviously it's very interesting times, both in Australia and in the US, so we're looking for people who, of course, have opinions on all sorts of things that are happening, but people who can share their opinions diplomatically and represent their home institution and their country well in the US. People that are adaptable. We're obviously dropping you into a new country, and it's a big professional experience. We're looking for people who can adapt well to a new experience. We'd like to see the relevance of the proposed program. So when you're filling out your application, you'll show what your desired outcome for your period of time. So you might say, this is what I want to achieve in my 3 or 4 months in the US, but this is how it fits into the greater scheme of things. And of course, because the Fulbright program is all about building mutual understanding between the US and Australia, if you can show that there's some relevance to that bilateral relationship, there's something that you can bring, whether it's just building long-term connections with colleagues in the US, or your research will contribute to an important area between the US and Australia, that can be really helpful as well. We'd like to see potential outcomes, as I mentioned, so Peter will talk a little bit about this as well, but what it is that you want to achieve during your time in the US, and of course how that fits into the bigger picture of what you're doing. It's open to Australian citizens only. It's fine if you hold dual citizenship with any other country except the US, so if you're a US-Australian dual citizen, I'm afraid you would not be eligible for a Fulbright award, and green card holders, of course, are not able to apply either. There's no age limit, and it's open to any field and any host institution. So whether you're hoping to go to Harvard or a small community college in Idaho, that we don't have a preference on different institutions. It's really about you finding an institution and colleagues in the US that are really going to move your project forward. The application process, I'll talk through this and then I'll just quickly show you our website as well. So the application itself is not hosted on our website. Our colleagues in the US host the applications for all Fulbright programs across the world on their website. The only minor issue with that is because it's a generic application that's for 160 countries, there are some things that each individual commission looks for. So what we've done, when you go to apply, you'll hit the apply button, I'll show you where it is, and it's going to bring you to a PDF. So instead of going straight to the application, it's going to take you to an information PDF. And that's a little application Bible, so it really goes question by question, just to clarify if there's any difference between what the application says in a generic sense, and if there's something additional we really need you to cover for our office to be able to assess your application. So please make sure that when you're looking at the application, you've got your instructions open right next, if you can have your instructions and the application open next to each other, and just run through it question by question. The worst thing in the world would be to spend a month or two putting together a brilliant application and then to be ineligible because you didn't upload a CV or you missed an attachment. So if you use those instructions, it's just to guarantee that you have everything you need in that application to be considered. So as part of that, you'll upload a project proposal. So of course, that's just telling us what exactly it is that you want to achieve while you're in the US. Keep in mind that our selection committees may not be specific experts in your field. So if you could avoid it being too technical, but just enough so they can really understand what you want to do. Great advice is to give it to someone who's not in your area to see if when they read it, if it's still clear to them. We've had applications that have pages and pages of maths formulas, and some of our selection committees, if they're not in that area, they have no idea what that means, and it could be brilliant, but just as much as you can in layman's terms about what it is that you're trying to achieve. You'll also submit a personal statement, and a lot of people think that the personal statement's just a bit of an add-on and it's not very important, but the personal statement can be crucial to your application. So this gives us kind of the backstory. Yes, you want to achieve this great thing, but your personal statement can tell us how, what important things have happened in your professional, personal journey to get you where you are or why you're interested in this area. It's also a great place to cover some of those other things we're looking for, like your ambassadorial skills and your adaptability. You can cover some of those things in your personal statement. So I think the personal statement's probably the hardest part to write, to spend a page trying to talk about yourself and talk yourself up, but it's really important to give us an idea about the person behind the project. It'll also ask you to submit details for 3 referees. You won't need to get letters from them and upload them. You're just going to type in their details and their email address, and then the system will send them a link so that they can upload the details. It's just a way for the referee reports to be confidential. Be really careful about who you pick for your referees to make sure they're the right people, and once you put in their details, check with them that they've actually received the link. Sometimes with our university systems, it goes to spam. So just make sure they've got that link, because again, it would be such a shame to not be eligible because one of your referees never got the link to submit the letter that they'd prepared for you. For all of the opportunities, with the exception of postgrad, you'll be asked to submit a host letter of support. So as part of your application, you're going to want to be thinking about where you want to go, and that relationship with your host institute is really important. Some host institutes would say, you know, we're really happy to have you, your project sounds great, we'll give you a desk in the back of the office, and, you know, good luck to you, I hope you have a great time. But other institutions, if they're really passionate about your project and they really want to engage and be a part of your project, you know, they have great linkages for you and different people for you to meet and different ways to contribute to your research. That makes for a really strong letter of support. It shows us that they're just as interested in your project as you are, and they really want to support it. So for all of the opportunities except postgrad, you'll have to include one of these letters. You can include a couple if you've got a couple of institutions in mind, but we feel that an application is stronger if you've got one home institute in mind, and this is where you want to spend the most of your time, but you might have a secondary host. So some people, they might have a private company that they want to spend a little bit of time with, but they're mainly affiliated with a university to conduct research. So how you do that's up to you, but just emphasize the importance of the host letter when you're requesting it from your colleagues in the US. For postgraduates, we use placement services with our colleagues in the US. So you can have different institutions in mind, and you may have a letter of offer from an institution, and that's fine, you can certainly attach it. But if you know you want to go, but you're not quite sure where and you don't have that letter yet, it won't make your application any weaker to do it like that, and we'll just pair you up with placement services to find the right institution for you. You'll need copies of official, complete and certified academic documents where applicable, but it depends on the opportunity. But when you read the application Bible PDF, it'll tell you what exactly you need for your particular scholarship. And I might just quickly swing to our website. So this is the Fulbright website. Any type of information that you could be looking for is here. We're a small team in Canberra, so we've tried to make all the information available on our website, so you're not waiting for us to respond to emails or anything. You can just find everything here. So I'm going to quickly just show you where to find a couple of things. On the home page here, there's a link to webinars that we've recorded. There's one there at the moment that's about writing a strong application, so it's little hints and tips about the extra things you can include in making an application stronger. And there's even a short one on how to use this website, and there's different information sessions about all the different categories if you want more specific information than I'm able to cover in this short period of time. The applicants page is the best place to start, so if you just click on the Australian applicants page, it's got some basic information here about how to apply and checking eligibility. This little box here is just a quick little cheat sheet if you're not sure which opportunity is right for you. But the best page, the most helpful page, is the FAQ one. So anything that you feel is not covered when going through the application process, or you can't find it on the website, come back to this page and have a look at the FAQs just to see if the answer's there. And if you can't find it on the website, definitely shoot us an email, and I'll give you our contact details at the end so that way you can get in touch. On the applicants page, this is the site that you need to use to get access to the PDF and to the application form itself. So on all the pages, you'll see apply now. I'll go to the scholarships page. But if you click apply now on any other page, it's just going to take you back to the applicants page. So the applicants page is the one and only link to the actual application itself in the PDF. We kind of had to do it that way just to ensure that everyone gets access to that PDF. On the scholarships page, you can click on Australian scholarships, and this is where you get the more detailed information about the different opportunities. I've really just named them for you and talked about basic eligibility, but to get more detailed information, you can go into each of the relevant links and read more about the scholarship and exactly what benefits are included in each one. So make sure you have a look at this website, and of course there are contact details and everything available on this page. Something else that can be super interesting is on each of the scholarships pages, here on the right, it'll show you the most recent alumni from that scholarship. So if you're interested, and I really recommend doing this, having a look at their different profiles to see what sort of things they did in their scholarship, where they were from, and just having a look at the different types of people and the different types of projects that we've supported in the past before as well. So applications are currently open and they close on the 1st of August at 11:59 p.m. If you're anything like me and you submit right on the dot at the last minute. Definitely start these applications early. All of these different things, your project statement and your personal statement and getting the documents you need and the referee reports, these things can take time. We find especially getting the referee reports in, because you're relying on other people to do that, can take a little bit of time. So I'd recommend looking as soon as possible to at least get comfortable with the application and make note of the different things that you're going to need for your application. So after applications close on the 1st of August, our office undertakes a technical review. So we go through each application to make sure that everyone is eligible and they have all the documents that they need. And then we send your applications out to our relevant selection committees. So the selection committees are people outside of the Fulbright Commission, so academics and professionals from across the country. And they'll do a paper-based, they go through a paper-based scoring review first, and then they shortlist and they invite people for interview. So applicants will be invited to interview in August, September, depending how long it takes us to do our technical review. And all applicants will receive notification on the outcome of their application by the end of the year. As I mentioned, we've got that orientation program in March for those that are successful. And if you are successful, you can depart for the US for this current round between July 2018 up until June 2019. So you would be able, the first time you'd be able to leave for this current round is July next year. I also wanted to mention that we have two sponsored US opportunities. So these are for Americans. So if you have colleagues in the US that you'd like to see come on campus here to the University of Newcastle, just take note of these two opportunities that are available. So we've got a postdoctoral scholarship available, so your US colleagues could come on campus for 3 to 10 months to conduct postdoctoral research. And we also have a Fulbright Distinguished Chair, so that is for full professors that would like to come on campus for 5 to 6 months. Have a look at the website, and if you have any colleagues that you'd like to suggest, shoot them the link and certainly encourage them to apply. It's a brilliant opportunity to bring your colleagues from the US on campus, so certainly take a look at that. These scholarships are brand new, so we've had one round of applications so far, and the successful recipients, as I said, will be on campus early next year. But if you have colleagues that you'd like to see on campus again, make sure you shoot them this opportunity. And they're open to a great range of different areas. So I've listed them all there, but I won't read them all to you. But definitely have a look. And if there's someone you know that's relevant, certainly get them in touch with us. And just to finish up, as I mentioned, the Fulbright website is the very best place to start. It's got the in-depth scholarship information, the FAQs, the alumni profiles, the webinars. If you wanted to hear my voice again, you can listen to it there. The application instructions with the link to the PDF and the actual application itself, and so much more. So if you wanted to get in touch, you can contact myself and Rose Clapham is our other scholarships officer, and we can be reached at fulbright@fulbright.com.au, and our contact number is there as well. But just keep in mind that as the application deadline gets closer, we get inundated with inquiries, so please have a look at the website first and then just shoot an email through if your particular circumstance isn't covered by anything else on our website. But that is it from me. I'll hand over to Peter, so just save your questions for me until the end, and I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thanks, Tara. I just wanted to try and give you a couple of tips about how I sort of tackled my application. So I can't emphasise enough about the importance of the scholarship category. So I actually applied for Fulbright twice, wasn't successful the first time I applied. Went back and sort of critically thought about why I thought I wasn't successful, and I changed categories. So originally I applied as a senior and was successful this year in the professional category, thinking that I was more a sort of mid-career researcher. I thought my track record sort of fit in that area a little bit better. Another thing to kind of be a little bit strategic about is just looking at the number of scholarships that are available in each category and really just hedging your bets and thinking, look, I think I've got a better chance in that category. Also, I think a lot of things that Tara said today about looking in those categories and then looking at the subcategories and just making sure that you really fit the field that you're going in. Having spent 2 days in Canberra at the orientation program, you really get a sense of the great diversity of people that are applying for scholarships. Now, the first person I met down there who was successful was actually a High Court judge who was going to spend time in the US as a professional scholar. So as I said, preparing your application, really knowing, you know, which category you want to go in, I think that's crucial. Write that first draft as soon as possible and give it to someone outside of your field. So when I wrote mine, I went and gave my first draft to John Rostis because mine was kind of in neuroscience, and I really respected John's input. I thought if anyone was really going to pull my application apart and find flaws, it would be John. I took his feedback on board, and then I went and gave my second draft to people completely outside of my field. I think that's important because when it goes to the selection panel, there may be someone that's not expert in your field at all, and you need to be able to communicate the importance of your project to people not necessarily in your field. So just remember, as I said, there's a wide range of expertise on those panels. I really would emphasise going outside of your field and getting feedback from people. Australian applicants need to include a personal statement, and I think this is really important and not an afterthought. And for me, it was probably the hardest thing to write. I wrote my project to talk about the science. I used my personal project to try and address things like the ambassadorial skills and the cultural exchange. So I spoke about my career and what I'd done. I spoke about a little bit about my family, my community involvement. So I really tried to use that to talk about ambassadorial skills. I went and spent a bit of time going around and trying to find out, so informing myself by looking at various websites, both the official Fulbright one and also looking at some YouTube videos that people had posted. And I came up with these sort of 4 key selection criteria. A track record of excellence, the project, the development of bilateral partnerships and ambassadorial skills. So the way I tried to tackle these was really, I thought that track record of excellence really needed to emphasise your standing in the field. And some good examples for that might be if you've had awards, if you've had significant papers that have been highly cited, if you've received any prizes, grants, or if you're still a student looking at that academic record, you may have an outstanding academic record. So really trying to emphasise your track record of excellence. When it came to project, I think one important thing for me was to emphasise the significance, but not trying to say that I was going to solve all the problems of the world in my 4-month visit. So I looked at my project and I really said that my visit for my Fulbright was going to be the beginning of something, and I needed to be in the States to start this project. Okay, I needed access to the technology of my host institution. Feasibility and relevance to bilateral relations. I tried to say that this was something that was, what I was researching was something common in Australia, but it also was significant in the US. One of the things, it's important to pick an appropriate host organisation and a mentor. So I approached 2 people to write host letters for me. One I had an existing relationship with. I'd published papers with this person. The other person was someone I'd met at a conference, and I'd stayed in contact with them over a number of years, and then they became my major host institution. I think the other thing is, just if you're unsure, look at other projects in the field. Go and look at the current and previous scholars page, so you can get an idea of what sort of projects Fulbright has been funding. Another thing I think that's quite important is that where you go, the organisation, not everyone has to be going to Harvard or Yale. There are plenty of other really great institutions to go to. So one of the things that I've been looking forward to in my trip is I'm taking on one of those enrichment opportunities. So I'm going to spend time at Kansas State. And my host over there has organised for me to go on to a US military base, and that's something that I'm really interested in with my research. And I'm also going to see be involved in speaking to some athletic trainers at state and national conferences. And that's all been mediated by Kansas State, not necessarily my host institution. So I'm taking opportunity to visit what's called the Oz to Oz program. The development of bilateral relationships. I think, some really simple things that you can do is, at a bare minimum, offer to do a lab talk or present at a local seminar. So I'm going to be doing some lab talks, hopefully presenting at this National Athletic Trainers Conference while I'm in the States. I think another thing is, just when you're writing your project and you're writing your statement, is to just have these ideas in your mind. Look to form lasting relationships. As I said, my host is someone that I've published with before, and then someone that I met at a conference a few years ago, but I've kept that relationship alive. Ambassadorial skills. Go and learn a little bit about what Fulbright is. What Senator Fulbright had in mind when he proposed, the Fulbright Commission. Understand that the Fulbright Commission, the Australian-American Fulbright Commission, predates the ANZUS Treaty. These are important things. Understand how important Fulbright is internationally. 160 nations participating in Fulbright commissions. Talk about your willingness to share ideas. Again, this is a careful balance between what goes in the project and what goes in the personal statement. You can use the personal statement to get some of these ideas across. And I would encourage you to go and look at the vision and mission statements on the Fulbright Commission and have these at front of mind when you're writing this application. Make use of the resources. Sally will talk to you soon a little bit about what University of Newcastle will offer. Feedback from experienced researchers. So you will submit an application to the research office and you can get feedback from experienced researchers. The application review, so those people will give you feedback on what you're proposing. The research office also arranged for mock interviews for me. So I did 4 mock interviews where I had people from different fields that were willing to sit down and ask me questions that they thought may be relevant to the interview process. And I learned a lot from that. And every time I did one, I felt that I was better prepared for the next. Use the links to the webinar. I found webinars and YouTube recordings quite useful. I'm always amazed at what people want to share to help others, in YouTube videos. You can find examples of project statements, and you can read about previous successful applicants. Just a little word on the interview process. So it may occur as a Skype interview or in person, and both of those can be reasonably daunting. So one of the things that I did to prepare for that was I went and looked at the makeup of previous selection committees. So very simply, I went and looked at the annual reports from the Fulbright Commission and had a look at who I thought, and I had a reasonable idea of who I thought might be on that interview panel. And that just gave me a chance to sort of engage with the committee, because I'd kind of felt I knew a little bit about them. When they told me their names on the Skype interview, I was easily able to remember who they were and then answer questions directly to them. As I said, the mock interview, the University Research Advantage Program organised 4 of them with me, for me for last year. Talked to others that had done it before. So I actually knew someone who had applied for Fulbright on 3 occasions and was successful on the last one. And that person had a pretty good memory of the sorts of questions that they'd been asked. There's always one standout question where they ask you something a little bit about out of left field that kind of comes to that cultural differences. So you can get an example of some of what they might be. Ones that I'd heard about was, could you mention, if you were an Australian and you were talking to an American, could you recommend a standout Australian book, film, that you would recommend for someone to read to learn a little bit about Australian culture? I'm going to emphasise Fulbright Values. Tara spoke about these already, but just going through these, as I said, passion, vision, excellence, innovation, partnerships and ambassadorial skills. I had these at front of mind when I wrote my application. I wanted to display, a little bit of passion about the field that I wanted to research in. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I had done locally within communities and where I wanted to take my research. Basically, where I wanted to be in 5 years. I spoke a little bit about what I had achieved over my career, and that in that professional, it was really about what I'd done. I'd started as a radiographer. I'd gone back and upskilled, done postgrad, PhD, and all of that had led me to here. I spoke a little bit about innovation. I think my project is quite innovative in the point that it hasn't really been researched. I'm trying to validate biomarkers that people use every day but don't necessarily understand them. Partnerships, just those collaborations and linkages. Fulbright is about education, but it's also about cultural exchange. So I really wanted to say, these are people that I did know, but I want to work with these people over time. I want to build an enduring relationship between my institution and the University in Newcastle. Just ambassadorial skills, articulate what it is that you want to do and emphasise your community engagement. And here's just an example. So this is information that I was able to get, really simply looking at the selection committee members for 2015, and this is the one from 2016. I went and looked at the professional category, the one that I was in. I went and looked at state memberships, and I felt that I had a pretty good idea of who was going to be on my selection committee. I did a little bit of research on each of those individuals to kind of know what their background was, and I felt that this helped prepare me for my interview. As Tara said, we'll leave questions till the end, but more than happy to answer any questions either in this forum or if anyone wants to contact me outside of this forum, I'm happy to talk about my experience. We've also got Stephanie Gilbert here, who's also successful, and I'm sure that you can also talk to Stephanie.
Thanks, Peter. That was a wonderful example of a Fulbright value, ambassadorial and giving back. My section won't take long because I'm conscious that you probably will have a lot of questions that you want to ask. Whilst we're on the selection committee members, I just wanted to note that the university is well represented on this with selection committee. Both the Pro Vice-Chancellor and the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research and Innovation are selection committee members. So I think they're probably into their 2nd or 3rd term, and so we're well represented. With regards to the Research Advantage program, it is driven out of the Pro-Vice Chancellor's office. So what we did last year for the first time was to up the ante on the support for researchers. So just before you submit your applications, we ask that you pause and send a PDF version of your application into Deb's office. But prior to that, I should note that there is an expression of interest form on the Research Advantage website, just alerting us to the fact that you are interested, you are potentially going to submit, and then we are alerted to the fact that you're interested, and we will follow you right through the process. With regards to the application review and feedback, that's where, as I said, we grab your application and we send it out to for expert review. Last year for the postdocs, we had the Dean of Graduate Research review all applications, and for every other scholarship, we had Professor Nick Talley review them. So this year, we're not exactly quite sure who we're going to have, but they will be esteemed and exceptionally experienced to review applications. So we call them in 3 weeks prior to you submitting. It takes us about a week to facilitate it. Last year, we did 8. And of those, three progressed to interview. So we do your review, we give you your feedback, and then you submit your application. At the point of any applicant being alerted to the fact that they are successful, hopefully it's normally about 3 weeks out before the interviews that applicants are alerted that they are successful, and then Deb's team will scramble to get mock interview experiences arranged. As Peter said, we did 4 for him last year, and it was quite a challenge to get them all in line, but we go as high up as the Vice-Chancellor for mock interview experiences, and we take it exceptionally serious. We're getting a very good feel for what types of questions Fulbright are asking, so we feel that we're well placed with our relevant scholars, Stephanie and Peter, to be giving that little bit of extra intel just to help people prepare. So, yeah, main take-homes, application review, mock interview, and the sooner you contact our office, the sooner we know about your interests and the sooner we can support you. So we've got the relevant details of where and when, so that is good. Now, with regards to US applicants, this is the ones where people US are applying to come here. As Tara said, last year was our first year and it was in the area of health. We've got 1 distinguished chair, 2 postdocs coming starting next year. This year, it is for anyone to align with a PRC. 19 of our PRCs, they can align with 1 or many. So that's where we are communicating with our priority research colleagues to alert them to this opportunity, because it is a two-way street. We're having US applicants contact us directly in Deb's office saying, this is our specialty, we're interested in applying, can we make contact with the PRC? So Deb's team is basically going to the PRCs and saying, make contact, see if it's a viable application and move forward. Alternatively, we really want to get the word out within our colleagues in the institution that, you know, if you've got collaborators, please make contact, make them aware of it. We can facilitate referrals to people on the ground in the US, either through Fulbright or either through Deb's team, where we will give that person on the ground in the US as much support as we can. So Deb is happy for, if any PRC needs more information or wants a session like this run in your relevant centre, we can certainly facilitate that because we've still got time. It's the 1st of August and we're really looking to bring the brightest and the best to the UOM. Yeah, so as promised, short and sweet. I'll hand back to Tara for any questions.